Hey teachers, we're back for the second part of our linear equations application. Right? So far what we've done in the first video, you saw us walk through how to create a budget constraint, how to create a standard form linear equation, and then convert that to slope-intercept form, and then we graphed that. Now we want to talk about is this idea of opportunity cost. Students should already have an understanding of opportunity cost because they've been introduced to it in the order of operations section of Algebra 1, in which they were asked to solve and understand compound interest. But, just to review, right, opportunity cost, really important concept in economics. It's the next best alternative that is sacrificed when a conscious decision is made. So in Adam's world, right, Adam can either go get food or Adam can go to a movie. And so every time he goes to a movie, he has to give up food, and every time he goes to buy food, he has to give up part of a movie. So we want to understand how we can tease out opportunity cost from the equations that we've already formed and that form as budget constraint. Okay, so the question really is that we have to answer is, how many movies does Adam have to sacrifice in order to get a restaurant meal? So to illustrate this, I like to start where Adam buys 0 meals and 5 movies. And so his budget constraint looks like this if he doesn't buy any meals and he goes to 5 movies. And now what I'm going to do is ask, okay, how many movies is he going to have to give up? How many movies is he going to have to give up in order to get that 1 unit of food? So we're going to change f from 0 to 1. And then what we're going to do is ponder how that changes his allocation of movie attendance. And when we solve out in his budget constraint where f equals 1, we see that m falls to 3.75. So let's compare those two worlds. When f equals 0, he gets 5 movies. When f equals 1, he gets 3.75 movies. And so he has to give up 1.25 movies in order to get that first unit of food. And right, this is a line, and so every time Adam goes to a restaurant, he has to give up 1.25 movies. Right, and we can illustrate that on our budget constraint. I think it's a really good idea with a class that you do this. Right? We started our story here, and then we increased the quantity of food that he could consume by 1, and what we saw is that delta that we computed is his opportunity cost. Right? The difference between 5 and 3.75 is 1.25. That's how many movies he has to give up in order to get that first unit of food. And in fact, in order to get every unit of food, his movie consumption falls by 1.25 units. Right, so let's take a quick jog back of what we did earlier. Right, in standard form, this is our budget constraint. In slope-intercept form, this was our budget constraint when we solved it for m. And notice here, -5/4, that's the opportunity cost. Right, so opportunity cost in this setting is just the ratio of the prices that Adam faces. If we're talking about the opportunity cost of getting a unit of food, right, that's going to be the price of food divided by the price of movies. All right, so the big thing that students need to understand here is if you want to get the opportunity cost of a good in this budget constraint world, you just have to ponder what the ratio of the two prices are. If we're talking about the opportunity cost of good X, the price of X divided by the price of Y will tell us what the opportunity cost is. So here's some other things to ponder, right, and some exercises that are good for students to do. Right, we can first show what the opportunity cost of a movie is. Right, this is going to be the ratio of the prices. What else we could do is use that budget constraint to show different places on the budget constraint that a consumer might locate him or herself. Right, so let's ponder if Adam goes to 3 movies, how many units of food could he have? Well, he could have 1.6 units of food. We could use the budget constraint to illustrate that. And And then finally, what happens if one of those three variables changes? If Adam gets a raise, right? If he gets an increase of $10, what happens to his budget constraint? What happens to opportunity cost? And then finally, what happens to the opportunity cost of a unit of food when the price of a movie increases? Right? There's going to be some changes in the ratio of those prices. And so students need to ponder that too, not only in a mathematical sense and a numerical sense, but also in a graphing sense too. Now after this, we think it's a good idea to move on to that paycheck analysis activity and talk about real-life budget constraints, because now students have a good understanding about opportunity cost. They can make decisions about how they'd like to allocate resources, which is really what the paycheck analysis is all about. So hopefully you got some good information about this, and you can move on to paycheck analysis, because students now can understand the idea of making a decision and what the opportunity cost of that decision entails.